What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. There's a ton of cards in Hearthstone that are really awesome, but that don't actually exist in a craftable form. So today we thought we'd take a look at maybe some of the cooler ones, some of the rarer ones, and there's probably quite a few cards on this list that a lot of players potentially haven't seen before. So without further ado, we're taking a look at some secret cards from Hearthstone. And if you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button and let's get started. So up first, we're talking about Poison Dagger, one of the only two Justicar hero powers that actually gets a card or cards to represent it, but we'll maybe get to the other one a little bit later. Now, a lot of you might have seen this card before, or at least knew that it existed, despite the fact that Justicar hasn't really seen play in Rogue since the card came out. Still though, despite this being one of the more obvious cards on the list, it's a really good example of the type of cards that we're taking a look at today. Cards that have actual physical cards representing them, like the 1-mana 2/2 Poison Dagger, but that don't actually exist in any craftable form and come from other sources. Up next, we're taking a look at a little bit of a broad category of cards, and that is, of course, choice cards. Choice cards are the cards generated by certain craftable cards that let you choose between options. Historically, these are pretty much just always Druid cards, although recently there have been a few others, but we'll get to those in maybe just a second. For example, the Druid Epic Ancient of Lore creates two choice cards, Ancient of Secrets, which is a 0-mana card that says restore 5 health, and Ancient Teachings, a 0-mana card that says draw a card. Now obviously these aren't exactly cards in a traditional sense, since they kind of just get automatically played as a part of the ability, but with how the developers program the choice cards to work, they do create actual cards with mana costs and effects for you to choose from, and then just automatically cast those cards as a part of the choose one effect. The full list of Druid cards that create these choice cards include Ancient of Lore, Anodized Robocub, Dark Whisper, Cenarius, Kun the Forgotten King, Keeper of the Grove, Grove Tender, Power of the Wild, Living Roots, Raven Idol, Jade Idol, Druid of the Claw, Ancient of War, Wrath, Druid of the Saber, Pharaoh Rage, Nourish, Mark of the Wild, Wisps of the Old Gods, and Mire Keeper. Choice cards are actually a really awesome mechanic since they give players just more options and therefore are typically pretty fun and especially skill testing to use. It's honestly kind of a shame that they ended up as sort of like a Druid only mechanic, since they're actually like a really awesome mechanic for the game in general. Discover is a really cool mechanic to make up for it though, but it would still be super awesome to see choice cards in other classes, which we still actually kind of got to. Up next, we're talking about the 0-mana Totem Choice cards, the other Justicar hero power upgrade that gets cards to represent it. So when you play Justicar in Shaman, it changes your hero power to let you actually choose which totem you're going to pull. This means that when you hero power as a Shaman after having cast Justicar, all 4 of the totems will pop up in the middle of the screen as their 0-mana card versions, and you'll get to select one to put into play. Now in theory, the totems from your hero power already had card versions since they were minions that popped up on the board and could also be sapped and things like that put back into your hand, but the choice cards are slightly different since they actually cost 0 mana instead of 1 mana and can only be produced by Justicar. And the other big category of choice cards that we have available other than Druid cards is all the potions that Kazakus can make. Kazakus potions first have you choose between the potion size, a 1-mana potion, a 5-mana potion, and a 10-mana potion of course, all of which are their own choice cards. The effects vary based on the mana cost of the potion, but they can be divided into their own subcategories, each of which has 3 unique choice cards based on the mana cost, except for Mystic Wool, which has only 2. These categories are Fel Bloom, which deals some sort of damage to all minions, Gold Thorn, which gives all of your minions some amount of extra health, Heart of Fire, which deals some amount of damage to a single target, Ice Cap, which freezes some amount of random enemy minions, Ichor of Undeath, which brings back some amount of friendly minions that died this game, King's Blood, which draws some amount of cards, Mystic Wool, which has only 2 options since you can't get it from the 1-mana spell, and transforms either one or all minions of your opponent into sheep depending on the mana cost, Nether Bloom, which summons a demon of various stats depending on the mana cost, Shadow Oil, which adds some amount of random demons to your hand, and Stone Scale Oil, which makes you gain some amount of armor. It's pretty cool to see 3 more classes, in this case Mage, Warlock, and Priest, gaining access to the choice card mechanic, and Kazakus gives people a ton of options, making it an awesome and just really fun card in general. Overall, I'm sure a lot of you guys know about choice cards or maybe have seen them before, but they're definitely some of the hidden cards in the game, so they are worth taking a look at. Up next, we have a little bit of a fun card that goes by the name of Muk Tlas Big Brother, which some people might remember as the 6 mana 10/10 creature from the tutorial actually. Now obviously this minion is kind of just like a meme from the tutorial, and everyone that's played the tutorial has seen it before, so it's not entirely a hidden card, but it definitely has some pretty cool things going for it, so we wanted to take a look at it. First of all, even if this card were actually printed for standard, it would probably see less play than you might expect really, despite the fact that it pretty much has the best stat distribution of any 6-drop. And that's essentially because 6 mana is past the point of wanting to play a card for just the stats, you know? You generally want to have some sort of extra bonus effect. Flame Wreath Faceless is kind of the exception though, but it's good because it's a really large body on turn 4, which is generally early enough that the opponent is not going to have the mana or resources to potentially deal with it. On a similar note, Mountain Giant is a strong card because it can come out as early as turn 4, and Arcane Giant is good because you can of course play it for very little mana. Muk Tlas Big Brother, on the other hand, will generally come out on turn 6 at the earliest, other than maybe in Druid, which could be a pretty good class for it. And then it falls easy prey to maybe a Sylvanas or a BGH or Siphon Soul or Mulch or what have you. And you didn't even get the value that you could have gotten out of like a different 6-drop like maybe Emperor Thorson or another card with a very relevant effect to your game plan. Muk Tlas Big Brother could be good against decks without hard removal, but even then it's still maybe only playable in Druid, since you could maybe play it on turn 1 with Innervate Coin and get a pretty awesome opener. Still though, these cards are definitely not going to get added to the game as a craftable card, since it's like a really big power creep over a lot of other cards, especially Faceless Behemoth. The other cool thing that's notable about this card is that it appears on the game board a lot bigger than other cards. Now this is something that would probably be like just a massive nightmare for Blizzard to program for actual cards to get played on the ladder, and could potentially have a lot of really weird interactions or bugs, or maybe if it got copied a bunch or something and they took up the whole board, but it would definitely be pretty funny to see an awesome legendary that was bigger than the other cards or had some cool board visual change or something like that, and that's definitely a design space that we might see get explored in the future. Next up on the list, it's Hidden Gnome, which in a way I guess is quite literally the most hidden card on our list today. The Gnome literally hides inside one of the barrel cards that Muk Tla plays during the tutorial, and is a 2 mana 1/3 minion that gets summoned when you kill one of the barrels. It's not a super relevant or important card, but it is hidden, so it definitely earns a spot on our list today. Next up we have the Ancient One, which gets summoned when you control 2 Bloods of the Ancient One at the end of your turn. Now most people probably know about this card since it is from a fairly recent expansion, but it's definitely notable since the actual card of the Ancient One is probably one of the least seen cards in the entire game, since it requires such a difficult but also equally terrible combo to summon it for a very little payoff. The art is just really awesome though for sure. And the next card on our list that we're taking a look today goes by the name of Shadow of Nothing, which is a 0 mana 0/1 creature that gets summoned when you mind games your opponent but they don't have any minions left in their deck. And this is a pretty sweet one since it rarely gets seen, mostly because of mind games' lack of play and also the special condition that it requires. Shadow of Nothing actually used to blow up at the end of the turn it was summoned and kill itself, really similar to the Power Overwhelming ability, but this was later changed in a patch later on down the line. Still though, Shadow of Nothing is a pretty sweet and definitely a hidden card for all intents and purposes. So those are some of the cooler, maybe non-craftable cards that exist in the game. Definitely let us know which one was your favorite in the comment section below. And looks like that's going to be it from me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.